Matt Reeves' The Batman, much like any other unique blockbuster, is not a standard good versus evil story. Typically, the line is drawn pretty clearly. There's a good guy, and he fights a bad guy. I couldn't put my finger on it for a while, but I knew that while the hero was obviously defined right from the title, and while there were a wide variety of villains out of the comics present in the film, the main villain, or the antagonist, wasn't entirely clear-cut. The antagonist in any story is the character that's presented as the chief foe, the rival, the primary opposition to the main character or the protagonist. They become this by either chasing the same goal, stopping the hero from achieving their goal, or setting out to achieve a goal themselves that the hero has to stop them from accomplishing. But any which way, they're the primary source of conflict. So, what's the Batman's primary source of conflict? Well, to answer this question, we first need to understand what Batman's goal is as the protagonist. His goal is to avenge his parents and bring the criminal element of Gotham that took them away to justice so that what happened to them can never happen to anyone again. The question then is, what stands in the way of him accomplishing his goal? Well, I would make the argument that the biggest obstacle is the amount of crime occurring in Gotham. Unlike most adaptations of Batman, where crime occurs on a rather standard basis in an otherwise nice-looking Gotham City, Reeve's vision of Gotham is covered from head to toe in broken windows, dim lights, graffiti, and people crazy enough to come out for Halloween on a day raining cats and dogs. The weight of such a heavy load of crime to fight is already a ton for one man to bear, as illustrated by Pattinson's suitably intense performance, but at the very least it's kept in check with Batman's intimidation factor. Or is it? Insert the Riddler, who many people would argue is the main villain of the movie, but I would make the argument that he's less of an opponent or an obstacle for Batman, and more like a drive for Batman, the same way the Infinity Stones are a drive for Thanos. For through his heinous murders and intricate puzzles, he reveals to Batman that Gotham's crime wave is more knee-deep than anyone ever knew, between a deceitful mayor, corrupt cops, and a DA that was bribed to stay silent about an informant on a case that ended Salvatore Maroni's drug operations. The Riddler kills those first two before Batman has a chance to save them, but he actually gives the DA a chance to save his skin if he gives the name of the informant on the case. And he refuses. Why?
I'm a dead man either way. You're talking to a dead man, okay? If I go out this way, it's just me. But if I give over that name, I have family, people I love. They'll kill them too.
Who will?
People are watching.
What people?
So much bigger than you could ever imagine. It's the whole system.
Because the whole system would be after him and his family in a second. In fact, the system in this city creates a ton more conflict for Batman than any of the nameable comic book bad guys. Think about it. Falcone mostly just covers his own tail and carries out the jobs that he's paid to do. Penguin pretty much hangs out in the background without leaving too much of an impact. And even the Riddler virtually paves the way for Batman to reach what turns out to be lesser-known criminals. None of this creates nearly as much conflict or as many obstacles as the DA that refuses to give the name of the informant or the corrupt cops that try to capture Batman as he escapes the police station. I mean, hell, Selina Kyle's lack of cooperation because of her focused desire to find her friend and get out of the corrupt city gives Batman way more issues than the Penguin ever did. All these characters are merely products of a corrupt city, not the cause of them. You see where I'm going with this? The antagonist, Batman's ultimate rival in this movie, is Gotham City. His entire goal is to save the city, and between corrupt cops, a broken justice system, and politicians that would take a buck quicker than they would attempt to bring the crime rate down, the entire city is against him. The Riddler is simply attempting to direct Batman towards them, Catwoman is only trying to survive among them, and Penguin is merely enjoying himself behind them. It's the perfect step up from the previous movies, where Batman proves that the city is full of people ready to believe in good, whereas this city is not. So, where does Batman go from there? Well, admittedly, that's where the film simultaneously derails and kind of gets interesting. Towards the last third of the film, the Riddler sets up a huge bombastic climax, the one point where he does create a bit of conflict, where he floods the entire city and corners everyone, including the new mayor, into a convention center where his followers nearly have everyone killed. At one point, an active electrical cable nearly hits the water, and Batman immediately swings in and cuts the cord, falling a great height that could have killed him, to save everyone. He springs back out and swims over to a few civilians where he holds out his hand to save them, and because he made that sacrifice to save their lives, they trust him. He realizes that the way to give the innocent people of Gotham hope is to be the symbol of selflessness that no one else would be. Show them what they could be, as opposed to constantly reminding them of what they shouldn't be. And seeing this city's reaction to this act of selflessness in return gives Batman hope for the city as well. So while Selina ends up leaving the city, Batman continues to serve and protect it, making his greatest challenge, his greatest rival, also his greatest ally. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content. Also be sure to join me down in the comments section and let me know if you agree with my thoughts or who you thought the main villain of the movie was and why. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.